Okay, we're going to talk about men and women and who's happier. And an article from the Wall Street Journal that piqued Father Ross's interest on this is, why are women both sadder and happier than men? Good question, right, Father?
Well, that's why I read it. I thought, this has got to be taking me someplace, you know. Across the globe, women report being more distressed day to day, but more satisfied with their lives in general. Can you relate to that?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Because we have to do everything, but yet when our family's happy, when our kids are happy, it's great.
You read the article too, didn't you?
I did.
You
yes.
just took all the words right out of my mouth.
I'm sorry. I'm going to speak instead of Father Ross. No. But I thought the one interesting point was how different parts of the world, how women, reported this.
Especially in countries where poorer countries, women had less opportunities, less education, and it was a patriarchal society in many cases over there and other places. 167 countries were surveyed. 11 surveys of 167 countries, and the very thing that you just mentioned is the case. Yet women everywhere are still more likely than men to say they're satisfied with their lives. You know why?
Why?
Well, he says, well, let me figure it out. Actually, the bottom line is this. Women feel that they're doing something that they're supposed to do. So, for example, God rest her soul, my mother, she worked at Memorial Hospital for all those years, 30-some years, and she'd come home and she'd still cook.
Right. Clean the house, do the laundry.
Yeah, my father would be out golfing. I said, what? But, we found out that, for example, today, men spend 4 more hours of leisure time after they're done working. Women, 6 more hours. They work 6 more hours after they're done working when they come on home. So more hours than men. But we're finding out that women feel more satisfied because they're able to relate to not only what they're doing, but they can express their feelings. Right. And men, generally speaking, don't do that, do they?
Exactly.
Men, generally speaking, don't do that at all. We talked about that, I think, the last time, about when I counsel people, I ask the men, take your wife on a date. Do you remember that? Take her on a date and ask her what she's feeling. Not how do you feel, but what she's feeling. And it helps the relationship.
Yeah. I thought another thing in there too, like in this day and age, especially in the U.S., we feel like we want our career, but we want the family too, and that puts more pressure on the women, and I mean, and the guys want their career too and family, but it seems like the scales aren't still balanced yet.
Well, the surveys report that in the 70s, women felt much happier because they were more or less stay-at-home. And then when they came into the job market in the 90s, they felt themselves far more stressed and less able to relate to things in life, to the enjoyable parts of life. But now, they're saying we're coming back to being happier because they've adjusted, by and large, to not only working, but also taking care of their family, doing the housework and things of that nature.
Do you think the guys really were honest with their response?
No.
Even I thought the women sometimes probably weren't honest with their response.
Well, that's what the article says.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. What the article says is they don't think that men were always honest about it, and women sort of want to paint a pretty picture all the time. Yeah. But they were far more honest than the men.
Yeah. You find that typical?
Well, I don't know. Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. But I mean, it's interesting. They said the surveys don't tell us who is suffering more. The surveys don't mention it, but they do tell us this: the pleasure and enjoyment are not the tickets to a satisfying life. Imagine this: pleasure and enjoyment are not the tickets to a satisfying life. So we live in a culture that says, the more you got, the happier you're going to be. Do you ever notice when you first meet somebody, what's the first question you ask them? The next question you ask them after you ask their name?
Where do they work?
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
Because we rate people as to what they do. So if you say, well, I'm a physician, they go, oh.
And you're like, oh, yeah.
And if you say, well, I work for WLA, they go, oh, really?
No, they go, oh, really?
No, but then some of the people who do not have those professional positions, for example, feel that they're not as worthy, so to speak.
And that's ridiculous, too.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, too. So, it was a good article, and I would encourage people to pick it up. If you can get on the Wall Street Journal, or just get online, and you can get it free.
It's interesting how we're all trying to juggle stress and anxiety and be happy at the same time.
But, ultimately, stress can be good for us. We call it eustress. There's distress, and there's eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S, which means it's a healthy stress, and we have to have that.
Okay, we'll have some healthy stress, too. Thank you for coming today, Father. Don't go away. Noon Edition continues in a moment.